What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. And today, all the way from Chicago, is my guest, Eric France. Hello, Eric.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is going to be fun. I am a political junkie. I love politics, and I always have. I just couldn't possibly run for politics because it's just not a possibility. So I give you massive credit, sir. So I'm going to go ahead and read your bio real quick, and then we'll
Wonderful.
get cooking. So, everybody, we have Eric France. Eric France is running for Congress as a Democrat because the people of Illinois' second district deserve bold, compassionate, and accountable leadership. For too long, our communities have asked for opportunity and justice, only to be met with silence from the very institutions that are supposed to serve us. I've seen it, I've lived it, and I know we need real change. I believe all politics are local. That means listening first, showing up consistently, and putting people over partisanship. I'm here to not play the political games. I'm here to fight for the priorities that matter for Illinois too. I want to have real conversations with people across this district, whether we agree or not. Your voice matters. I'm ready to listen, to learn, and to work with you to build a future that reflects us all. So, everybody, welcome the future Congressman of the Second District of Illinois, Eric France.
Wonderful. Great to be here again.
We're just going to put the love and the juju out there for sure. So, Eric, before we get started, we're the What If You Could podcast. So I asked all my guests the What If You Could question. So, Mr. Eric France, what is your What If You Could?
What if I could end housing insecurities, homelessness, and hunger throughout the second congressional district?
Oh, that's a big task. I mean, here in California, I mean, I think homeless people outnumber people who actually live in a house now. So, is it, what is the situation with homelessness in your district? Is it pretty bad?
Well, let me be more clear. I'm speaking more towards of homelessness because renters are homeless too.
Yeah.
They're at the mercy of the landlord. We need more homeowners that creates more generational wealth and puts people on their way to stability. A lot of the problems we have in communities across this nation are due to housing insecurities, whatever level they may be. If I'm someone who's working right now and I don't own a home and I just got laid off from the federal government, how long is that landlord going to let me sit there without paying rent? But if
Yeah.
I'm a
And you,
homeowner, I'm in a
it
little
might be a
bit better
little
shape.
different, but housing insecurity includes so many things. It now all of a sudden you've
Yes.
got food insecurity. You've got maybe families that are struggling and there's a lot of tension in the family, so maybe there's abuse. You have divorce because of housing insecurity. I mean, housing insecurity, man, encompasses a lot of things because when your house isn't secure, it puts a lot of stress on everything else.
You can't go to work and be your best when you're not sure about where you're going at night to lay your head. Period. You can't be your best if you're at work and your lease is coming up to expire and you're not sure what the landlord's going to go up on the rent to and if this job is enough. It carries in every aspect of your life every day.
Yeah, it does. And I've been a real estate broker for 35 years. My son and I have our own business. Um, and I'll tell you what, we're always looking for programs to help people get into homes. And one of my biggest, we have a property management business too.
Mhm.
One of my biggest beefs and the thing that just irritates me is people turn down Section 8
Yes.
and people will take a cash offer over a VA offer on a purchase. And
Yes.
that just burns my bridges, Eric.
We got to do better. We got to equalize the field. We got to have more affordable home ownership buyer programs. There are plenty out here now, but they're not socialized within these cities, and they're not being taken advantage of. I know tons of VA vets who don't use VA vet benefits because they're not educated on them on any level by the VA or by the Congress people staff in their communities. They don't know what's available to them. They don't know not only could they be a homeowner, they could be a landlord.
Yeah. Yeah. My son has used his VA to buy 3 homes now,
Hmm.
and he's kept them and rented them. So he is setting himself up for his future.
Generational wealth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when you say generational wealth, what comes to me is the fact that when I work in different communities, we have a huge Hispanic community here, we have a huge gay community, we don't have a big African American community here. But when I'm working with an African American client and they are buying their first home, I swear to God, we all cry because this is and here's the truth. I would have to say 75% of the first time home buyers from the African American community are women.
Yes,
They just are. And
that
when
is a
they
fact.
when they close on their first home, oh, dude, you
Not
start
only
crying now.
not only are they African American women, they're usually the first in their families to ever own a home.
That's what I'm saying. They will tell me, Gary, I'm the first one in my house in my family ever to own a home. And it started with when we put them in a rental to say, listen, I'm going to bug you every 6 months about putting away money and let's get you in a house. Don't be thinking you're going to be in this house for the next 20 years. I don't care if you're Section 8, not Section 8. You need to start thinking about, yes, you can buy this house you're in right now. You have to get that mindset, right?
So I'll say it like this in my own family. First off, my wife is a realtor. She's been in the business for 30 plus years, and she specializes in affordables. That having been said, we're 3 for 3 on our kids. 3 daughters, 3 homeowners, 3 African American women.
Love it. Love it.
Uh,
See, because you guys instilled that in them, though. See, you instilled them. Say, listen, mom and dad did it. Mom does this. We're going to get you into a home.
we
But not
couldn't
everybody
not
has
do
that mindset.
it. We couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
It just is a fact. It's the only way that you can secure your future. It's the only way you can build a portfolio. It's the only way you can not worry about being laid off from a job or a situation. You have to have something tangible that you can lean back on and borrow against if need be. There are families who talk about people who are incarcerated and they need to make a bond and they have nothing to make a bond with and pass the hat. That's why there's so much talk now, especially in Illinois, about no cash bail bond. That's why it was important to so many people because you're talking about a population that has nothing to fall back on. So if they can't literally pass the hat, get the money, their relative, guilty or not, is going to sit in jail.
Eric, what can you do for your community? What can Eric France do when he becomes congressman? What can he do to change the exposure for people, change the mindset? Because I've talked to a lot of people who born in the inner city had, 8 brothers and sisters, no advantages at all, but for some reason they had that little spark, right? But the one thing they all agree with is, Gary, I had no exposure as a kid to anything but poverty and crime and things but for some reason I elevated. And that was one thing we always talked about is these communities need exposure to other things. You know what I'm saying? That will help them see they can do this.
So let me give you a little family history on my part. In the 1970s, my father ran the anti-poverty programs in the city of Chicago, known as Model Cities, Community on Urban Opportunities. That having been said, I watched my father do things like take the first delegation of youth from America to tour the People's Republic of China back in 1973. I was actually on that trip. Exposure is power. It changes your mindset when you can take someone more than 50 to 100 miles from this place they were born. Most people on earth never leave to see anything outside of that. Some of the exposure you get is not a better job. It's not a better house, but it's a better view of everything going on everywhere in the world. It's global. And we have to start letting people know it's bigger than your block.
Yeah.
I'm going to pivot a little bit and go back to the second Congressional District of Illinois.
Yes.
I have probably the most craziest drawn district in the country as it speaks. As we speak.
Didn't they just redraw it again too? Didn't they just recently redraw it again?
They did, and it didn't get much better. Not to say that it's not doable. I love my people from one end of the district to the other. Having said that, it is 4,000 square miles.
Wow.
We start in Chicago at 43rd Street on the east side by Lake Michigan. We go all the way to the Indiana border, all through the south suburbs, and halfway downstate to Danville, Illinois. This district is urban, suburban, and rural. I would be a complete idiot if I thought all these people had the exact same needs.
It's not possible that they all have the same needs because all the communities are so varied. So when you're handed this district and you go, my good golly goodness, man, I've got every stretch that you can get here. I've got super stupid wealthy people. I mean, with just ridiculous amounts of money. And I have people in such poverty. Talk about food insecurity and housing insecurity and just the fear of my kid walking to school, right? So that's a huge demographic to try to corral to work together.
So let's hit the facts. In this district, there are roughly 720,000 people. 126,000 of them are living below the poverty line. That doesn't mean that everybody else is living great, but these are 126,000 people that are noted to be below the poverty line at a time when we're cutting off every level of government assistance there is. That's a job in itself.
When you look at, because like you said, politics can be local, but when you're a congressman, you're also setting the agenda for the country. You're voting on things that affect the entire country, not just your district, your community. Is there anybody out there that you see that you can emulate and go, this person has the right idea. I want to get behind what this person is doing as far as this current Senate, the current Congress, maybe the local government.
I'll say it this way. What we've seen in the past is not what we're going to do going forward. We can't. This world has changed too much, and our priorities have changed. We have let the major cities in America and the minor cities in America crumble. We have not invested in our infrastructure. We have not invested in the environment in terms of clean air and clean water. We have not invested in an up-to-date housing stock that people can be proud of. The electrical grid. I can keep going on and on and on. And then look at the emerging things like access to the internet, better schools, food deserts, all of the problems we have. Now, having said that, these are problems all throughout the United States in different levels and different areas, but they are problems that are uniform. We have to come back from Washington with money for these cities to be able to support it. And on that level, all politics is local. We all have to handle these problems. But they're all underfunded right now, and the states can't handle them, and they got nobody else to borrow from. We got to bring more of that tax money back home. I don't care what district you're in. That having been said, in terms of the national and international issues, yes, that's a load to carry, and we've got to fit that in too. But in the midst of doing so, we can't forget about home.
Why do we people that we have nothing to do with
I'm sorry, I think our internet
electric
connection
on?
got bad. I'm sorry, I think our internet connection got bad. I didn't hear the question.
Lose you there?
I'm back now. I did not hear the question at all. After why, I lost you.
The thing from working from home.
Didn't I just mention infrastructure?
Will I billions of dollars overseas constantly to all these other countries?
40 billion going to Venezuela, I hear lately, in Argentina.
Why? I mean,
Well,
honestly, why?
good question. And these are the questions that your congresspeople need to be asking.
Yeah, yeah. What do you, I mean, again, I just have to come back to this. Who's answering these questions for you? I mean, who do you see that go, when I get up there to the hill, I've got these people that I want to work with. There's people that I think I can get behind. I mean, is there anybody doing a good job in Congress right now?
I think that there's some great work done by a few. I won't call any names specifically, and I'll say that on both sides of the aisle. But it's not about the few, it's about the mass, because if you can't caucus it into a vote, it doesn't matter. And leadership starts at the top, and that's the White House. And what we're getting from the White House and people who are following that agenda is not a pretty thing. I think you've got to get stability. Right now, we're in a situation where one party controls the Supreme Court, the executive branch, the House, and the Senate. That is not good government, and it is not good politics either, because
Well,
there
we
is
could
no
take,
room.
yeah, we could take that back like 60 years. We didn't get these people, they need to start figuring this out because it just keeps getting deeper and it keeps getting worse. It doesn't matter which party. I mean, I can't think of a time in the last 40 years where I've been following there where he was able to balance the budget and cut the debt. But other than that, it's just gone up and up and up, and we've got less and less and less. I don't care who's in power.
Well,
So,
I'll say
like you said,
this:
you got to get this.
it's what you're putting in the budget. Balancing a budget isn't that hard. We do it at home every day. We don't spend money we don't have, and if we do, we know who we borrowed it from and when we got to pay it back. The question is, what are the priorities in the budget? Are the people the priorities? Are the wars the priorities? Are the $500 million jets or aircraft carrier a priority? Is it financing other countries' wars? Or is it taking care of our homeless, taking care of our hungry, taking care of our people who would like to be able to own a home and not just be a perpetual renter, who'd like to leave something for their families when they're gone? What are our priorities? What are we making? Do we want crumbling infrastructure in schools? Do we want underpaid teachers? Do we want underpaid, undersupported public safety first responders, fire and police officers? What are we supporting?
Cities are crumbling.
They're crumbling to death.
I mean, who cities?
let me say it like this.
Philadelphia. What's that?
Let me say it
I
like
I was
this, and I'll spin it back to the second district
yeah.
because it
Go
is
ahead.
where I am. But in the second district of Illinois, this district
Yeah.
hasn't been invested in properly in the last 30 plus years.
Exactly. And that's my point. And here's where I find a real big issue with that is how much has the government changed in the last 40 years in Chicago?
Well, that's a very good question. We've had a lot of it dominated by one mayor, for good, bad, or otherwise. And we've gone through changes of mayors rather frequently in the city of Chicago. Uh, in other areas of the state, you've had some change. You've had some change not happen also. Because, as I said, I have a very small portion of the city itself, but the problem is bigger than the city. It is the suburban areas that have not been invested in, that have had massive population growth for people leaving the cities. It is the people in those suburban areas who pay higher than normal property taxes for anywhere in the country because there's no economic development. Cook County in Illinois is carried by the homeowners. The business growth, especially in the second congressional district, cannot support it. Another fast fact, there are 80 people a month that move out of Illinois and move to Indiana in the second congressional district because they're being taxed out of their homes. Part of getting on the ballot is going out getting petitions signed. We meet a lot of people. We talk to a lot of people. And I had one lady come to me in Burnham, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, who said, I can sign your petition and I want to, but unfortunately, I'm only going to be a resident for another 3 weeks. I'm registered here in Illinois, but I'm just mad. My husband and I bought our first home, and in a year's time, the tax is more than doubled.
See that that is what you call short-sighted thinking. That is what you call we're going to keep taxing the people who keep our communities thriving, and we're going to push them out. But I mean, New York City is probably going to suffer some of the biggest losses they've ever seen in the history of New York City once the new mayor steps in. But let's get back to your district. So I give a magic wand to Eric. First of all, I say to Eric, why on earth are you doing this? Right?
You know,
Why on
everyone
earth
asks me that every day.
are you putting
I'm
yourself
at the age
through
where
this?
I don't need to do this, but you get tired of sitting on the couch. And I come from a family of service. As I said, my father worked in the 70s in Chicago, in the 60s and 70s in Chicago, and in the state of Illinois and around this country in public service roles. So did my mother. My father had the greater or lesser confidence of every mayor from Richard J. Daley to Richard M. Daley. Prior to his death, he worked in every administration. When things went wrong, Harold Washington would call him and ask him to come in and fix and get things stabilized. That was what he was. He was Olivia Pope before we knew what scandal was. He was the fixer. That having been said, I've grown up in and around this my entire life. I, I've worked consulting governments and politicals for years. So at a certain point, you get tired of screaming at the TV and say, let me go help the people in my everyday life like I do now in my professional life. Let's get
I
some people
love
who
that.
actually have the knowledge. I have nothing against great legislators. They're needed too. But we're at a stage in this country where we actually need people who are doers, not necessarily let's think about this. But we need people who can hit the ground running and do things. They understand Washington, how the Department of Education works, how Department of Housing and Urban Development works, how all of the critical departments from the Small Business Association to the Department of Congress, and know where the money is and know how to ask for it. So when I go to my district and I visit with the people and they tell me what their needs are, I can actually be helpful. I mean, that's
So
what
I'm going to
it
go
is.
back. I'm going to go back to where I started, and I'm going to hand Eric France a magic wand. And I'm going to say, Eric, you're congressman, but not only are you congressman, but you literally can get things done. You can get things done. Where are we going to start?
Where would I start? In the in the Small Business Administration and the Department of Commerce. And the reason why is economic development is key. Whether we're talking about small businesses, which are the backbone of this nation and employing more people than anyone else, and are lacking resources to expand and employ more people, or whether we're talking about existing businesses that want to stay open, that want to grow, and can't get the help. I'm not talking about another Ford Motor Company or a GM bailout or failed bank bailout. I'm talking about good, hardworking businesses that need a boost to boost their localities so that they don't have to say, money isn't doing what it used to do. We're threatened with laying off people. We need to give them the help that they need and be able to support them, not close them down. Because if we do that, case in point, from the real estate tax perspective, homes carry about 10% of the burden. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Businesses carry 25%. So if you have no new businesses, or the existing businesses that you have are shutting down, packing up states, and moving out of state, over the border to whatever the next border is, whether it's in Illinois, whether it's Indiana, whether it's adjoining Michigan to Indiana, whether it's Iowa, whether it's Wisconsin, whatever direction they're going in, we're losing money and the homeowners bear more of the burden and get none of the services and none of the growth. So when the budget doesn't balance, what happens? The homeowners take another hit. And before you know it, those homeowners can no longer afford to stay in the state or can no longer afford to stay in their home. And them going and becoming renters doesn't help, because what does the landlord do? He passes on the burden to the renters and the rents go up. This is how we stabilize communities. You grow the economy. In the words of my good friend James Carville, it's the economy, stupid. It's always the economy.
It's always the economy. You know, I love that so much because I'm a small business person. And here in California, they're always coming up with new ways to beat us up. You know, businesses and people are bailing out of California like you can't believe. They're just constantly looking for ways. And then when they say, well, I don't know what happened. We have a budget fall. We're going to have to raise more taxes. Can be some guy who's always been cooking. People say, dude, you make the best spaghetti. You should open a restaurant, right? I mean, small business is that exactly that. It's small business. It's helping people get started so that then they do it on their own.
See, I beg to differ.
And then
Small business is not small business. It's
now
big
they
business.
grow. They need to.
Small business is really big business because it employs those who would not otherwise have a job. It takes care of a need in a
Yes.
community that needs something. It expands so that other people are now able to buy homes and to maintain their lives. It is big business. Small business only is size, but the effect is big. Just like when they close up and they leave, that's a big, huge loss. It is not a small loss.
Yep. Yeah. Get buildings that are boarded because the bills, keeping those businesses open, keeping those storefronts open, keeping those people hiring other people, buying products, supporting the community, that changes everything.
My first business was when I was 18 years old with my brother, straight out of high school. We were able to open a stationery and office supply store. We bought an existing business. And it was a small business in the community on the strip until we got priced out of business by the superstores. We got to the point where we couldn't compete anymore and we had to cease doing business. But during that time, the numbers of people that we serviced in the community, the number of jobs that we brought to the community, and the boost to the economy was untouchable. This was on a major business strip in Chicago on the south side on East 79th Street. And that was back in the day when there may have been a liquor store on the corner, but there was also a tax accountant, and there was a restaurant, there was an insurance agent, there was a movie theater. I can keep going. It was a thriving business district. If you went far enough down the street, you'd see a Sears and Roebuck building, a huge department store in the community. If you go down that same strip now, you'll see nothing. Most
You'll
of it
see
is boarded up and let go.
Yeah.
There are a few
So,
businesses
Eric,
that
how do
survive,
we? But so here's the challenge. You have people in Congress and Walmart, but I'm going to make sure you keep Walmart open because we are crucial, right? We're a business that needs to stay open.
and what is the
Oh, it's
amount of
gonna-
money that Walmart pays its employees with the 39 and a half hours that they will only let them work during the week so they don't qualify for health insurance?
Yes. Yeah. So how
The
did they
minimum
keep getting away
wage.
with that? Yeah.
The federal minimum wage in most
So
cases, which is
how do they?
$7.20 an hour.
Yeah.
So I said this in a candidates forum in Chicago just a couple of weeks ago now. When I was 18 and I was hiring people in my store, the federal minimum wage was $5 an hour. I was paying them above that then and paying them $7.20 an hour. Fast forward, I won't tell you how old I am now, but it's been more than 40 years. That having been said, the federal minimum wage is $7.20 an hour. So in all these years, we've only come up, what, $2? What we need is the investment in this country to afford these companies to be able to pay a living prevailing wage, not a minimum wage. So if we're helping companies to do that and to come in communities and provide and everyone can grow together, great. If not, then we don't need to be supporting them at that level.
So on the wage issue, so let me ask you a question about your specific district. We both agree that this has been happening forever, right? And we need new leadership. So why does it look like someone who had been in leadership in the past has support now to come back and just do the same thing? Why doesn't the community, not just yours, but I mean, I'm talking especially in California, all these districts where these people sitting there for 30 years don't do anything. When are people going to see that you have to make changes if you want things to change?
Old keys don't unlock new doors. They just don't. They just don't. At a certain point, if you want something differently, you got to start moving differently.
Yes. Yes. You can't keep putting the same people in. Well, that's the definition of an insanity, right?
It
Doing the
is.
same thing and expecting different results. So now your field is crowded with 10 people. 10 people. I mean, trying to get a message out through 10 different people is very difficult to do. But if people end up with the same old and things don't change, well, who do they have to blame?
Here's the first message you have to get out as I reach across my desk.
They're not like us.
The bottom line is I'm not a politician. I'm not a part of the problem. I'm not from the crop of people who got us here. And we've got to make changes like that and say, it's not working. So, what makes me so convinced that in your last job, you did such a great job that you think you need to be elevated to the next level? Or that when you were here before, now's a great time for you to come back? If you had done everything you needed to do, there'd be no reason for me to be here today. That's just where we are.
And the current representative has decided that there's a lot more money in being in Senate than there is to be in the Congress. So I'm going to get out of here. And instead of, I hope she did a good job. I don't know if she did a good job or not, but obviously things haven't changed. And the last 4 years have been wicked bad on this country. So we don't need incremental change. We don't need a little twisting of the system. We need serious change, Eric.
We need serious people during these serious times. People look at my literature all the time and say, "You're not smiling on there." I said, "Because there's nothing to smile about. It's
I love that.
disingenuous for me to smile and cheese it up and say, 'Vote for me. Look at me. I'm pretty.' Because this whole situation is not pretty.
It's not pretty.
It's
It's
not
not
pretty.
pretty. And unfortunately, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train. I mean, it's what's coming down the pipe is even less pretty. And people need to grow up and make some tough choices. Like you said, this isn't a beauty contest.
Not at all.
This is real business. And there are communities that are just dying. They need help.
I listen to arguments every day. When I hear things like Kankakee, Illinois, they're upset because there's resistance on building a homeless shelter down there. They won't let them build a new homeless shelter to house the homeless population until a day shelter is built before they build another night shelter. And my answer to that is, why do you want to build another shelter at all? Instead of arguing to put them in a new shelter overnight, kick them out during the day on the street, still giving them no help for their problems and no services. You need to build them housing with supportive services so they can get back on their streets, get back on their feet, get the mental health care they need, get the other resources they need, and become productive members of society again. They're not there because they want to be. Nobody wants to be there under those circumstances. It's just what we've left them to. We are a compassionate nation doing humanitarian aid all over this world, but here at home.
Yeah. I think like what we touched on earlier, but unfortunately, I think the internet cut us out as we were talking about how do you continue to back sending 300 billion, 400 billion, almost $1 trillion a year to every other country. Yet every aspect of our country is crumbling. The electric, the water system. They haven't touched air traffic control in I don't know how many years. I mean, there's some serious issues here, and like you said, it takes money. There's always money for everybody else, right? But there's no money, and for District Two, and let's bring it back to Eric's hometown. Let's bring it back to you. You got to get help for your community. And it's not going to come from raising everybody's property taxes.
You better raise this economy. I live down the street from a mall. on Torrance Avenue in the south suburbs, known as River Oaks, which used to be a thriving mall. There are probably one or two stores that are left in there, and a food court with no food. I go to Matteson, Illinois, where Lincoln Mall used to be, which has been leveled. There's a big hole in the ground with no plans on how to even fill it. We've heard about an airport project for the last 30 years, somewhere in the Kankakee Peatone area, that has never come to fruition, that there's no agreement on. In the meantime, what we've watched is places like South Bend in Indiana capitalize on taking a small regional airport and turning it into an international cargo arena and an international passenger airport with a customs arena. We've watched Gary, Indiana, which is also to the east of us, just over the border, create a new agreement with UPS to have cargo services in there. They're boosting their economies. They're doing things. I'm not understanding why we're not cutting these deals here in Illinois to get these things done.
Well, because it starts at the top, boss. It starts at the top. I mean, when you look at, we don't need to name any names, like you said, you're running to represent your district. I mean, but it starts at the top, period. And when you watch these things go to other states, it's like California. We lose stuff constantly. And instead, when our gas prices are $5 and Arizona's gas prices are $2.50, instead of our governor going, maybe we should drop the gas tax, he looks to raise the gas tax. And you go, all right, well, how does that make sense? Or he says, well, let's kick a refinery out of here. Well, how does that make sense? It starts with the leadership of common sense. Common sense. There's not a lot of common sense in politics, my friend.
Well, this district here in Illinois runs across the Indiana border for the length of it. After you leave Chicago and you come to the suburbs, it is abut the Indiana border. Where I live, I can be in Indiana faster than I can be in downtown Chicago. It is literally 5 minutes from my house. Over there, the gas is way cheaper than what it is at Sam's Club down the street. We need border relief for these counties to be able to do so. We need an adjustable rate that manages that for these areas to be able to thrive better and not outprice their residents for them to spend money literally 5 minutes over the border from their homes in a lot of cases. I can get to Indiana, quite frankly, quicker than I can get to the Sam's Club. That's just a fact.
So where do we want to start with small business? Because I love that. That was the first thing you said is let's get small business up and running again. What do you think you could do in your community to help small business? Do we need grants? Do we need, I mean, what do we need? Education? Do we need to get into these schools and tell these kids, hey, you can be an entrepreneur. You could have a business, get a bike shop, do a paper route. What do we need to do to get that started?
It's funny you mentioned that. One of the first things we need to do is at the school level. Here in Illinois, a lot of the vocational schools have disappeared. We have what used to be, which is not in my district, but Dunbar High School, which used to be Dunbar Vocational High School, which is right across the street, literally from across their parking lot, is the headquarters of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. But there's not one electrical program in that high school anymore. And in most of these vocational and trade schools are gone or disappeared and undersupported. You need to be able to build that so that these tradesmen can be entrepreneurs and they can go directly into the union should they choose, or they can operate on their own, whatever their choice is. We got to give people choices. And the first one does start with education. Our kids are ill prepared, even for the tech fields that are here now. People talk about new data centers coming, though data centers don't create jobs, but if they did, we wouldn't be technically inclined to get them because our schools are not preparing them for them.
Yeah.
You have to
the
start
tragedy
at the
about
education level.
the tragedy about the data centers is they don't employ anybody and they take massive amounts of energy. So it's a double hit to communities. It doesn't
Energy
help
and
communities.
real estate.
Yeah, it doesn't help
where
these
I could be
communities.
building affordable housing.
Yeah, yeah. The truth is, AI is coming down the pipe so fast. We're not going to be able to stop this. And I tell kids all the time, they want to become coders or they want to be internet creators or they want to be on TikTok and all this stuff. I said, I'll tell you what, go learn how to fix a toilet. Go become a plumber. Go become a air conditioning technician. Go become a mechanic. Go learn how to build something because trust me, AI is not going to fix the toilet,
And it's
but
not their
somebody
fault
is.
because we've given them no place to go learn. We closed
100%.
all the trade schools. We closed all the vocational high schools and moved the programs out of the schools, saving money.
Well, the other thing we did is we told everybody has to go to college. Everyone needs to go to
Yes.
college and get a college degree, and we're going to give you all this free money to go to college. And then you'll get a degree and whatever, and then you'll come out and be a college graduate with $100,000 in debt, and you'll go work at Starbucks. It's like not everyone needs to go to college, all right? We have enough trouble getting kids to graduate high school. We need to get kids to start. We need to bring wood shop back. We need to be metal
Absolutely.
shop back. We need to bring auto shop back. I mean, kids learn stuff in high school, remember?
The only young handyman I know are people who have fathers or mothers who are handyman or handywomen because there's nowhere for them to go learn it. Every handyman I know is probably 70 plus because they've had nowhere to go learn it. That's how long we disinvested in our communities. So, going back to the core of the question you asked, do we need loans? Do we need grants? Yes, we need all of the above. We need representatives from these agencies coming to the communities, giving the options, helping these resources flow into the community. And you need congressmen and district offices that can work with them to make this happen and put the resources where they need. And let's not leave out the farmers, too. Because as I said, in my district, I have a whole lot of farmers. I have a whole lot of farmers in a situation now where tariffs have gone through the roof. They are burning their crops because they're not able to sell them. And those same crops that they were selling, whether it was soybeans or corn, are now being bought from Argentina and Venezuela and other parts about, who we're
And I
bailing
would
out with
bet,
$40 billion bailouts.
yeah, I'd bet we're sending more money to other countries' farmers than we're spending on our own country's farmers.
We are.
And that's
We are.
just madness.
I saw something while driving through the southern part of the district just last week, I believe it was, where there's corn just going dead on the stalk. It's never been harvested. And when you ask the people in the communities why, they're like, "Who's going to pay to harvest it? Because then I've got to pay people to do it, and there's no return on it. So we're just going to let it sit there, die, and then mow it over or burn it."
See, the effect on that community is so multi-layered. There's so many pieces of what happens with that. You don't have a worker doing the job. They're not getting any income, so they're not buying things in the community. They're not spending money. They're suffering. The farmer's suffering. I mean, it's a whole domino effect on a community when that starts happening. Along with what you said, no trade schools. The schools aren't educating the kids. You could drive down streets and they're all boarded up. There's a lot of challenges out there, Eric. Are you sure you want to do this?
I think I'm the man for the job because I actually understand it. When from a lot of other people, what I'm hearing is we only need three more seats in Congress, in the House, and we'll be okay. We don't need three more seats. We need a plan. Because getting those three seats and not having a plan, and people who are able to and available to execute the plan and have the knowledge to make it happen, it's not going to work. That's a fact.
That is the fact. Every 2 years they get new they turn over. This 2 years you guys have it. And then the next 2 years, since you guys did such a horrible job, you got booted. And the next 2 years, these other guys have it. And you didn't do anything. So the next two guys. I mean, we can't keep just rotating sides that don't want to do anything. We have to get people in there who are actually going to do something.
Well, we got to be have people in there who are going to do something and be held accountable. And right now, this is me on my soapbox. If you look at the turnout in the last presidential election, it was about 20%. I'm not really talking to the 20% because they are engaged, they're involved. It's the 80% who voted in these people because they sat home and did nothing. We need to engage that 80% if we're going to affect change. We got to understand and talk to them. I've had people tell me everything just during petitioning alone. I don't do politics. And that might be with me standing in front of a courthouse and them coming out while I'm trying to obtain their signature. And I asked the question, did you just come out of that building over there? Yeah. I said, you were in there for court? Yeah. I said, so you didn't elect the judge or anybody else in that building. Politics just did you. Whether you're doing it or not, it's doing you.
That's awesome. That should have been your slogan. You don't do politics, or politics is doing you. I
Every
love
day,
that.
every
It's the
day,
truth.
we turn on the TV, and what are we asking? What happened today? What did he do now? What's gonna happen next? You don't have the luxury of not being involved. You're involved whether you want to be or not, because something's gonna hit you. Whether you are Microsoft, whether you are Apple, or whether you are Eric, just Joe average citizen, it's gonna hit you, and it will. We talked about the trade wars and the chip war with Apple and saying we're not going to allow you to import any chips from China. You got to make all your stuff over here now, there, and the import on the chips is going to go through the roof. We're going to have 100% tariff. Okay, but what's the problem with that? We don't produce any computer chips in the United States at all. It will take us 5 to 10 years to train the people to do it and to build the facilities. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
But that goes back to our disinvestment in infrastructure.
So how do we get those people engaged, Eric? How do we go to these people and just say, I don't do politics? And you say, well, politics is doing you. How do you get these? Because listen, when they see Triple J coming down the pipe and he gets reelected, they're just going to
He
go,
will
well,
not. I'll
I,
affirmly say now, he will not.
well, whoever does, right? But if it's not fresh blood, if it's not someone like Eric France who comes in there with actual fresh ideas, who actually wants to stay in the community and engage the community and not just go to Washington to eat at fancy restaurants and get nothing done, how do you get that 80% engaged?
Having the conversations like I've been having. I mean, you have to meet people where they are, not where you want them to be. They're not just going to show up one day and say, okay, time's up. I'm back in now. Let's do this. You have to give them a reason to be a part of it. You have to give them the knowledge they don't have. You're going to have to do these town hall meetings and be sitting there not telling them how great you are, but asking them what their problems are and what they need, and having real conversations like what we are now, asking these questions, sharing ideas, taking that influence back to Washington and bringing those resources back home. If people feel like they're going to get something, then they participate. But when they get nothing, that's what you get, nothing.
Yeah.
They'll stay and keep doing what they're doing because it's serving them well. They're not getting anything anyway.
Yeah. It's a tough one, my friend. It's a tough one. I'll tell you what, I give you credit. Like I said, I love politics. I always think about jumping in there and I think to myself, you got to be crazy. They would beat me up in California and spit me out. I'd have no chance on earth. But you've been wonderful. I know you've got a business to run, you got a beautiful wife to attend to, and you've got a
I do.
campaign to get into. So I'm going to ask you one last question. I lied earlier because I wanted to get into politics. I said I had one question. I actually have two questions. So here's my second question. I always ask my guests before they sign off if there's something that important to them. If there's a message, there's a thought they have, if they saw a fortune cookie that made them think of something, whatever that message is that really sticks deep to them. But I'm going to change the question for you a little bit because I don't want it to be a campaign speech. I don't want you to give me a campaign question. I want something to come from Eric France's heart, whether you're running for politics or not. What's something that you'd like to leave everybody with before we sign off?
Take care of your family.
Hmm.
We have a lot of stuff going on in this world, but you can never lose sight or never be too busy for your family because life goes on, even for me on the campaign trail. And one of the things I've got to always put out there to my family is all this is great, but I'm never too busy to take care of my family, and I can never lose sight of that. Whether it's my mother, whether it's my wife, whether it's my brother, whether it's my daughters, whether it's my granddaughter, you have to stop and take care of family.
I love that, my friend, because let's face it, strong families build strong communities. Strong communities help grow better families. And strong families and strong communities build a better country and a better state. And Eric France is going to build a better second district in Illinois. And I believe it. And I'm super grateful you were here, man. I'm pulling for you with everything I got. I might even send $5, even though I don't have $5. But if I did, I'd send you. So
Well,
okay,
take it.
now we could do. Now we could
Here's
do a
my shameless
campaign.
plug. France for Congress, FOR, forcongress.com. We are on all social media. Please follow us, tag us, uh, send money. It is not a cheap thing to do. We are on ActBlue. Uh, we need the support. It's rough out here in these streets. I will tell you that. This thing is going to be won by the person who shows up and does something different. We're tired of the same old thing.
I love that. And I'm going to ask you to do that one more time because I cut you out. So, how do we find Eric France and how do we get involved with Eric France? What was the site again?
FranceForCongress.com, FOR, not the number, but FranceForCongress.com. You can volunteer, you can donate there. We're also on ActBlue for donations. It is expensive. Did I mention it was expensive? We need all the support we can get. Please follow us on all social media platforms, uh, from everything from Blue Sky down to Twitter, Facebook, X, everything. We're there. Follow us, support us. We love you. Thank you.
I love it. I love it, man. I'm so grateful you were here. I don't know if there's a tougher place to do politics than Chicago. I think for as long as I've been following politics, Chicago is one of the toughest places on the planet. And I give you nothing but kudos and credit for your family getting behind you, your lovely wife, your beautiful daughters, your
They
grandkids.
allowed me. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah,
do it without them. They allowed me. I had to ask permission.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a big undertaking because it takes the whole family. Like you said, you can't do this by yourself. If your wife wasn't so supportive, your kids, your family, your friends, and your community. And I love you getting out there and talking to everybody because, like you said, it's not about you. It's not about Eric France. It's about what
None of
Eric
it.
France can do for his community. And I love that.
None of it. One of the things Eric France has to do when he goes to Congress is start working on training his replacement
Yes,
because that is our
that's one
problem.
thing. That's one thing you will never ever hear a politician say in the history of mankind.
Not a politician.
I love
I
it.
should be planning my succession on the first day of office.
Oh man, I love that. That alone makes me want to vote for you right there, my friend. That alone, because you know like I said, these people get in there and they want to eat fancy food for the next 40 years. Just not what it's about. You're a public servant. That is what you are, and you've got to
That is
remember
it.
that.
That is it.
I don't know. All right, sure. So everybody, you have been blessed with some time with Mr. Eric France. Eric is running for Congress as a Democrat in the Illinois 2nd District, probably one of the toughest places to do anything in politics in the planet. He's running against 10 other folks. A lot of them pretty dug in with some pretty big names out there. So if you've got a couple bucks or if you've got the time, please look at Eric France. Give him a shot, give him a chance, because we need some fresh blood, and he's a good man. So I appreciate you joining me, sir. I really, really do. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Talk
Appreciate
to you
it.
soon. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon. See ya.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.